Question 17. The paragraph given below is followed by 4 alternative summaries. Choose the one that best carries the essence of the passage. When you see a summary question, rule number 1, read the passage. As you read the passage, you identify or you try to remember the main points so that you have them at your fingertips. Okay, so identify the main points. Remember, examples, illustrations are not part of the main point, they are the supporting points. All right, so your summary has to have, a good summary will have the subject of the passage along with the main points mentioned about it. An incorrect summary will, 1, be too general, 2, be incomplete, it will give only one aspect of the passage and not the other, or it will give something which is outside the scope of the passage. Since you are summarizing the passage, you cannot say a summary can give something which is outside the scope of the passage. It is only based on what is given in the passage. So what can be concluded is not part of the summary. Got it? So you need to remember the subject is very different from an example. Right? If I'm talking about cricket and I say some great batsmen like Sachin Tendulkar and Virat Kohli, Rahul Dravid and Saurav Ganguly is different from Sachin Tendulkar is the greatest batsman and he has scored so many runs. In one, Tendulkar is my example. In the second, Tendulkar is the subject. So keep that in mind when you do passages. Alright. Always remember, have a summary in your head before you look at the options. Otherwise, all the options will look similar and you will be confused. Based on your mental summary, you have to choose the right summary. The virtue of toleration is an impressive and hard to sustain achievement. So he says it's a hard toleration is hard to sustain. You might think that toleration is entirely passive, but as William shows, it is both active and passive. It's hard to sustain. Second point, it's active and passive, both active and passive. You have to actively sustain your moral beliefs. At the same time, you have to actively resist acting on them. This is the explanation. I don't have to really put it as part of my summary. If you stop caring, you'd no longer be tolerant, merely indifferent. So there's a difference between toleration and indifference. You know something wrong is going on, but you quietly keep away. Your morals know it's wrong. That is toleration. I don't care if something is going on becomes indifference. This is just, again, explanatory fact. Toleration as a virtue flirts with paradox by suggesting there is something positively good in allowing something bad to go on. So it seems to contain a paradox, right? It is good. Toleration is good. It is good to see something bad going on, so it's paradoxical in nature. But the air of paradox, this paradox that toleration seems to have, is removed by the introduction of liberal autonomy. So you can remove this paradox with regard to toleration by the concept or the value of liberal autonomy. And what is liberal autonomy? Valuing people's ability to freely make their own decisions and live accordingly. What are your 4 main points? Toleration is both active and passive. Toleration seems to be paradoxical, but this paradox can be removed by the value of liberal autonomy, allowing people to live as they want. Got it? Which option now comes closest to this? That's our correct option. Toleration is hard to attain because it's active and passive. Why is this wrong? Because it is incomplete. It talks only of one aspect of toleration. It only talks of the first sentence of the passage. It doesn't talk about the rest. Toleration is hard to sustain, is both active and passive, and is not paradoxical if liberal values are maintained. Seems to have all my points. Hard to sustain, active and passive, has this paradox but not paradoxical if liberal values are maintained, the value of liberal autonomy. Perfect. But let me look at C and D. Liberal autonomy makes tolerance seem paradoxical. No. Liberal autonomy is what removes the paradox from toleration. Therefore, C is wrong. Tolerance is difficult to sustain because it goes against your moral beliefs? No. Misrepresentation of the facts maintained in the passage. Therefore, my correct answer is B. Did you get it? Easy if you have your own summary.